So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to yoga in the park. And you might come to lying in constructive rest, like I said, with your knees tented together, your feet wide as the mat. And just allow yourself to arrive here in this moment. And also know that this is your very own practice. So, if anything I offer and suggest doesn't work for you, you're always welcome to modify, changing things up, and doing what works best for you and your body. This year in 2021, I've been theming all of my classes around the yamas and the niyamas. And I have this book by Deborah Dell called The Yamas and the Niyamas. These are yoga's ethical practices. This month, the niyama is called saucha, which means purity. And the niyamas are all about basically yoga's instructions on how we should interact with ourselves, versus the yamas are yoga's ethical practices on how we should interact with the world and society. So saucha means purity. It invites us to purify our bodies, our thoughts, and our words. As we physically purify our thought, or our body, and mentally purify our thoughts, we can become less cluttered and heavy. Purification brings about a brightness and a clarity of our essence. The practice of purity asks us to slow down and do one thing at a time. Purity embodies the slow steadiness and integrity necessary to give all of our attention to one thing at a time. As we practice slowing down and giving each thing our undivided attention, we will find ourselves more integrated and more pure with the moment. Hurrying and multitasking and busyness are all symbols of success in our culture, but they are killers of purity. So I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. Maybe this is something you'd like to cultivate, or even something you'd like to release. And if you'd like to use the theme of saucha, purity, you can bring that intention to your heart center. With each inhale, you might grow that intention, allowing the heart to expand in all directions, increasing your capacity to give and receive love from the heart. And then you can let it go and just become aware of your body on the ground. Feel the earth rise to support you. And if you're ready to invite a little movement into the body with your feet as wide as the mat, you can extend your arms beside you in a letter T, and then allow both knees to gently float over to the left. You might notice your right knee falling towards your left foot. And then on the next inhale, bring the knees back up to center. And on the next exhale, float the knees over to the right, allowing the left knee to fall towards the right foot. You can go ahead and inhale back and forth, following the pace of your own breath. Maybe you turn your gaze over towards the opposite knee, finding a gentle stretch for the neck. Just take a few more rounds to gently and slowly explore this movement, becoming aware of any sensations that arise. Feel the breeze, caress the skin. And the next time your knees float through center, if you feel complete from left to right, we'll go ahead and walk the heels in towards the sit bones with the knees facing up towards the sky. And you can bring the arms next to the hips with the palms facing down. On the next inhale, float the arms up overhead, and exhale, allow them to fall back behind you, reaching them past the ears. Take a nice big inhale, stretching the fingertips long, and then on your next exhale, rainbow the hands back down towards the hips. You can take a few rounds like this, inhaling to reach the arms up past the ears, and exhale to float them back down next to the hips. The next time your hands are up overhead, you can go ahead and swivel yourself over to one side. Doesn't matter if it's the left or the right, we'll do both sides. And then you can prop your head underneath your palm of your hand. So you're basically coming onto the side with your kind of like a supermodel pose here. Oh, what? Sorry. Senior portrait. There we go. Now we'll glue the heels together and you can gently lift the knee and lower the knee for a few rounds of clamshells, strengthening through the outer hip. This is one of the shapes my daughter's physical therapist had her do when she was having some knee pain. So when we have knee pain, sometimes it can be we need to strengthen other areas of the body to help support the knees, like the glutes. So just take a few rounds like this at your own pace, smoothing out the breath. And then when you're ready, you can close down the knee. And now we'll begin to lift and lower the heel. So lifting the heel up towards the sky, like a reverse clamshell. And just notice the sensations, where you feel the strengthening in the hip. And then we'll go ahead and close down that movement. You can bring the other hand to interlace behind you and allow that top elbow to come towards the ground into a twist. So your shoulders are now resting on the mat. And if you'd like, you can stay here in a twist, or if you'd like to do a little oblique strengthening, you can gently lift and lower the nose up towards the sky, cradling the head in the hands, interlacing the hands. When you're ready, we'll release that and extend the arms out wide to the side. You can go ahead and send your gaze over your shoulder towards your opposite hand, opening up for the twist. And then when you're ready, we'll get ready for the other side. So you can roll onto your back. And then when you're ready, I'm trying to remember how we got here before. You have your bottom hand, extended long. You can cradle your head onto your hand, bending your elbow, stacking the knees, And we'll start a few rounds of clamshells, just gently opening that top knee towards the sky and exhaling to lower, staying in tune with your breath. Enjoying the nice gentle breeze and any other sounds that you might take in, the chirping of the birds. And then when you feel ready, you can glue the knees together and just begin to lift and lower the top heel. You might feel another type of sensation in the hips. Other areas might become stronger here. And then when you're ready, you can lower that heel. Bring the top arm to interlace the fingers and allow the shoulders to roll open as you open the chest, coming into your twist. And when you're ready, if you'd like to do the oblique strengthening on this side, you can gently pulse the nose up towards the sky. When you feel complete on that side, go ahead and extend your arms long. Send your gaze over towards the opposite hand, the one that's pointing away from your knees. And just allow yourself to relax into this twist. Take a nice deep breath here. And then when you're ready, we'll close down that hand that you were gazing at towards the opposite hand. And then you can press yourself up into a seat. And then come to any kind of comfortable seat. If you need a little bit more support in your seat, you can always roll up the edge of your mat to kind of have a little bit of lift. And whichever leg you want to cross over first. Once you arrive at your seat, bring your hands onto your knees and just gently close down the eyes. Take a minute to revisit your intention for your practice. And then we can invite the hands to meet at the heart center, either with a soft gaze or you can close down the eyes. Begin to allow the palms of the hands to spread apart so they're cupping and the fingers are all touching. And then you can imagine either the jewel of saucha, purity, or your own intention, like a precious stone cupped in between the hands. You might imagine what color it is. Maybe with your inhale breath, it grows darker. And with your exhale breath, it begins to lighten. And then allow the 3 middle fingers to separate. So you're coming into a lotus mudra. And you can allow your arms to stretch up overhead, growing your intention, sending it out into the universe. And then with your next exhale, bring your thumb and index finger to meet, and you can shine the hands down and around. Let's do that 3 more times. Bring the hands to the heart center. Imagine your intention. Blossom the fingers open. Send out that positive energy. And then bring the hands down and around. You can go 2 more times at the pace of your own breath. And last time. Now we'll invite our hands to meet at the heart center. You can interlace the fingers, and as you press the palms forward, begin to round the spine back like cow pose, or cat pose rather. Inhale, we'll lift the palms up, reaching the heart forward. And then exhale, you can allow the hands to rainbow down. We'll plant one palm next to the hip. You can walk the fingertips out and reach the opposite hand up overhead. You might lift your gaze for a gentle stretch for the neck. But if that feels like too much, just find a place to rest the gaze, maybe on the ground, at the horizon, or possibly up towards the fingers. On the next exhale, we'll shine the fingertips down towards the ground and then reach them up and over. And 2 more times like this. Exhale to rainbow the fingertips down, and inhale, circle sweep them up and over. You might follow the fingertips with your gaze. After that last round, let's reach it up to center. Exhale to the other side, planting the palm, maybe walking the fingertips out to the side, reaching the hand up and over. You might gaze up. And then with your next exhale, you can reach the fingertips down towards the ground and go ahead and rainbow them up and over. 2 more times, just like that. Maybe following the fingertips with your gaze. With the next inhale, we'll come back to center, reaching the fingertips up overhead, and then exhale, draw the hands to the heart center. Now let's bring the hands out behind us, and you can interlace them behind you. And if they don't quite interlace, that's okay. You can even bring them onto your hips. If you can interlace them, you might bring them over to one side so that that shoulder's dropping down and this elbow is coming out to the side. And then the side that has your elbow sticking out to the side, you're going to go ahead and lower your ear towards that elbow or towards that shoulder, finding a gentle stretch on the neck. You might start to draw a little circle with the chin. Maybe practicing shaking the head no, releasing that which does not serve you. Maybe practicing nodding the head yes, inviting in new opportunities. And then when you're ready, we'll circle the chin down towards the chest, and you can bring the interlaced fingers behind you. And then we'll slide them over to the other side so that your fingertips are coming to the side waist, your elbows pointing out to the side. And go ahead and relax the ear down towards that shoulder. You can go ahead and draw a little circle with the chin. It's fine to reach your legs long if that works better for you. And then practice saying yes, nodding the head yes. Maybe more importantly, practice saying no, shaking your head no. And then when you're ready, we can release the chin back down to the chest. And let's bring the palms back onto the knees. And let's stretch the legs out wide to the side. I think that's a good idea. You can give them a little shake. And then we'll bring let's start with the left foot towards the right thigh with the right leg stretched long. You can turn towards your right foot, and then on your next exhale, walk your hands out to the side, maybe framing the shin with your hands, or if it feels good, you might stretch your hands towards your toes. Wherever you land, just find a nice gentle side bend here, finding length through the left side body. Take some nice deep breaths, imagining the breath cascading down the side like the wave of an ocean. And then when you're ready, we'll walk the hands back to center. Inhale to reach the palms up overhead, coming back to neutral. And then we'll slide the right hand down the right leg and rainbow the left arm up overhead. Take a nice deep breath here, spinning the heart open towards the sky. And then on the next inhale, we'll come back to center, reach the arms up overhead, and then twist to the left, bringing the right hand to the left knee and placing the left hand behind you. You can turn your gaze over your left shoulder. On the next exhale, allow just the chin to trace the front of the chest, and you can turn the gaze over the right shoulder. With your next exhale, we'll release, coming back to center. Let's switch out the legs, extending the left leg long, bringing the right foot in towards the inner thigh. And then with the next inhale, you can turn towards your left foot and begin to walk your hands down to frame maybe your shin or your thigh. If it feels good, you can reach the fingers towards the toes. And just finding some length, noticing where you feel the sensation in your body. Can you send your breath there? Allowing any thoughts of the past or any plans for the future to slowly dissipate, inviting yourself back to the present moment. With your next inhale, we'll walk the hands back up to center. And then coming to center, you can inhale your arms up overhead. Let's slide the left hand down the left leg. And then you can revolve the heart open as you rainbow the right hand overhead. Maybe sending your gaze up towards the sky. On your next inhale, we'll float back up to center. And then exhale, bring the left hand over to the right knee, plant the right hand behind you, and send the gaze behind your right shoulder. Notice where you can soften. With your next exhale, allow the chin to trace the front of the chest. Then slowly turn your gaze past your left shoulder. And then with your next exhale, we'll release the twist. And let's come onto hands and knees. With your palms underneath your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips, you can either untuck the toes or tuck the toes, whichever feels best for you. Sometimes I like to tuck the toes and get a little stretch for the toes. Maybe it can soften the knees. From here, we'll inhale, drop the belly, lift the heart for cow pose. Exhale, round the spine to come into cat. And you can take a few breaths following your own pace through cat and cow. Maybe it feels good to begin to explore other movements like tracing a big circle with the belly button. Imagining you're tracing the inside of a hula hoop. feeling into all the different movements of your spine, you might begin to marvel at the design of your perfect body and all the different directions your spine can move. If you're drawing a circle with the belly button, the next time the belly button is facing down towards the ground, you can begin to switch the direction of your circle. If you find any places that feel particularly interesting or need extra attention, you might hold that position for a breath. And then when you're ready and you feel complete with these movements, we'll come back to center and you can walk your knees as wide as your mat, bring your big toes to touch, sink your hips back and walk your hands out in front for child's pose. You might bring your forehead to rest on the mat. And if it doesn't quite reach, you can always bring your hands back to stack your palms to make a little pillow to rest your forehead. Or even stack your fists to make a higher pillow to rest your forehead. You can stay in your child's pose, or if you'd like to take a little twist from here, you might begin to lift yourself up and then weave your right hand underneath the body, coming into a twist for thread the needle. This might feel good on your shoulder. Allow your right ear to come towards the mat, maybe resting the temple. You can always press up onto that left hand for a little more support. Allow yourself to come back to your breath. If your thoughts have floated away, how can you anchor yourself in the present moment by becoming aware of sensations in the body, or maybe even the breeze against your skin? We'll get ready for the other side, pressing up onto the left hand, planting the right hand, and then threading the left shoulder underneath the body, maybe allowing the left temple to rest. You might just notice any sensations, maybe variations from left to right, allowing yourself compassion and curiosity. I don't know about you, but I could stay there all day. Whenever you're ready, you can come back to center, and then we'll press up into table. Bring the knees back underneath the hips, and you can come onto the forearms now. We'll extend the left leg back, tucking the toes under. You can press your heel towards the mat, finding length through the back of the left leg. Imagine the breath is able to cascade down the back of the left leg, stretching through the calf as you press the heel towards the mat. Take one more nice deep breath on this side, and then we'll switch sides, returning the left knee to the mat, extending the right leg back behind you. You can press the heel towards the mat with the toes tucked under. And one more time, you might just observe with compassion and curiosity any variations from left to right. Now we're going to get ready for a forearm plank, and you can always do this on your knees. So with your right foot back, you can extend the left foot back, and you can always lower onto the knees to make this a little more gentle. Drawing the belly towards the spine, activating through the core. And then whenever you're ready, you can gently lower onto the belly. We're going to come into Sphinx Pose, one of my favorite gentle back bends. So your elbows are stacked underneath your shoulders, and you can press your palms into the mat. We're extending the legs back with the toes untucked. And then as you press your palms into the mat, you can gently drag them back, reaching the heart forward. You might find a nice gentle back bend here. Maybe it feels good to roll the shoulders gently up towards the ears, and exhale, roll the shoulder blades back and down. You might take a few breaths like that, inhaling the shoulders up towards the ears, and exhale, roll the shoulders down. Keeping a soft gaze, or maybe even closing the eyes. And then when you're ready, we're gonna untuck the hands, extend the hands behind you with the palms face up, and you can turn your gaze over to the left, softening your right ear towards the mat, allowing the temple to rest. And if you're like me, it kind of can be hard to get my temple to rest on the mat. So I will tuck my toes under, press my chest a little bit further forward, and then it makes a little bit more space for my temple to come towards the mat. It's a hashtag big boob girl problem. Not necessarily a problem, just that's a fix there. So allow your temple to rest. Feel the support of the earth rise to meet you, and soften all efforts. Allow yourself this time to delight in this time of rest. And then when you're ready on your next inhale, we'll come back to center, and then you can lift the arms, lift the legs, come to balance on the belly. Keep a soft gaze off of the tip of your mat, and take a nice deep breath here. When you're ready on your exhale, turn your gaze to the right, and then again, soften all effort. Allow your left temple to rest on the mat. And if you need a little bit more space, again, you can tuck your toes under, press yourself a little bit further forward. And that sometimes can allow a little bit more space to bring your temple towards the mat. Now we're going to get ready for a little chest opener, a little bit of a twist. So bring your arms out beside you in a letter T shape, and we'll creep the right fingertips behind us as you roll onto the right side, opening through the chest and the shoulder. You can allow the legs to stack, and you can allow the right ear to fall towards the mat. You can always stay right here, or if you feel like you would like to deepen this stretch, if it feels good, you could bend the top knee and just place that left foot behind the right leg. Another option would be to bend that knee and reach down with the left hand to grasp hold of the ankle, and then allow the left knee to soften towards the right knee. Flexing the toes to activate the stretch. You might find a nice stretch in the quad here. But just feel free to find any variation that works best for you in your own body, knowing that it can change from day to day. moment to moment. Send a nice deep breath to any areas of tension in the body. And with your next exhale, we'll release that foot if you're in the bind, and then gently roll back onto the belly, extending the left hand behind you. You can creep the left fingers over as you roll onto your left side. Allow the left ear to fall towards the mat. You can either leave the legs stacked, bend the right foot and plant it behind you, or maybe reach with the right hand to grasp for the right ankle and allow the right knee to soften towards the left knee, finding a gentle stretch in the quad. Flexing the toes towards the knee to activate the legs. Take a nice deep breath here. And then with your next exhale, we'll release the foot, coming back onto the belly. You can plant the palms underneath the shoulder, tuck the toes under, and press up to table. And either find yourself in child's pose, or if you'd like, you can take a downward facing dog. For down dog, you can plant your palms underneath your shoulders, tuck the toes under, lift the knees up, and then reach the chest towards the knees to lengthen through the spine. If you're in down dog, you might take a moment to pedal your heels towards the mat. And either option is fine, gently in child's pose or down dog, whatever feels right for you today. If you're in your downward dog, you can come back to hands and knees. And if you're in your child's pose, we'll come up to hands and knees. And then from here, you can walk your hands over towards the right as you step the left foot forward. And we'll come up into a low lunge. If you need more padding on the knee, you can always fold your mat over. And then as you press yourself up into your low lunge, let's inhale to reach the arms up overhead or bring the hands to the hips. With your next exhale, we'll bring the hands out in front and then gently open the left arm for a twist. Looking behind you. Takes a little bit of balance. With your next exhale, let's sweep the hand back down, lift the arms up overhead, and then exhale to bring both hands down to the mat on the inside of the left foot. You can kind of bring the left foot over to the side if you want to come into a low lizard lunge. Maybe this feels good, or it could be a little too far. Find the right amount of stretch that works for you. And then we'll walk that foot back behind us to come back into our tabletop. And you can either take a child's pose in between sides, or maybe a downward facing dog, whichever works best for you. Now we'll transition to meet up in hands and knees. And this time we're going to walk the hands over to the left, step the right foot forward, and then you can walk the hands up to the knees or the hips for a low lunge. From here, you might inhale to sweep the arms up overhead. And then exhale, bring the hands out in front. And this time we'll slide the right arm open for a twist. Maybe gazing back towards your right hand. On the next inhale, sweep the arm back up overhead. And then exhale, you can bring the hands down, maybe planting them both on the inside of that right foot. You can heel toe the right foot over. If you'd like to take a lizard lunge. And then when you're ready, step that foot back to your kneeling position, and we'll walk the knees forward to come to sit on the booty. So with the feet out in front, you can extend your arms long, and then just allow yourself to gently roll onto your back. Maybe you draw the knees into the chest, gently rock a little side to side. Hopefully you don't have a stick underneath your low back like I do. And then maybe you walk your hands up towards your shins, or maybe your sides of your feet. Or you could even wrap your peace fingers around your big toes for happy baby pose, bringing the knees towards the armpits, the feet up towards the sky. You can gently rock a little side to side. We're going to wind down our practice now, coming into Shavasana, corpse pose. So if there's any last poses or shapes your body would like to take before your final rest, you can feel free to explore those now. If you're ready for your final rest, you can either come back to constructive rest like we started class, or you might extend your legs long for Shavasana, allowing the legs to relax, the arms to rest at your sides, feeling the cool breeze, and sending yourself lots of gratitude for showing up for your practice today. You might take a moment to revisit your intention for your practice. I'm going to read a few more lines from Deborah Adele's book, The Yamas and the Niyamas, about purity, Saucha. Purity requires all of our attention in the moment so that we can go to the next thing with our full awareness and energy. Purity asks that we make full and honest contact with the moment so there is nothing lost and no regrets. There is no residue. The practice of Saucha, or purity, of cleansing ourselves and cleansing our ability to be with each moment. As we begin to lose the heaviness of waste and clutter, we begin to feel lighter, more spacious, and expansive. Our bodies become more alive, our minds become more clear, and our hearts more compassionate. We'll take a few moments to rest in the Shavasana. You might just imagine any thoughts that come in are like clouds, and allow them to gently float by. You can acknowledge them. Just know that the ones that you need will come back just at the time that you need them. Maybe you can start to be aware of where the earth rises to support you and your unique impression on the ground. Soften your forehead. Smooth out the creases of your eyelids. Relax the hinge of your jaw. Allow the shoulders to melt heavy onto the ground. Relax all effort. In the last few minutes of your Shavasana, you take a moment to come back to your intention that you set at your heart center. You might even recall the color of the jewel of your intention. With each inhale, allow it to grow brighter. And each exhale, it might become more deeply shaded. As that intention grows through the body, you can start to imagine the color can saturate your whole being. And then start to become aware of any sounds, any sensations against the skin. Start to invite some gentle movement into your fingers and toes, gently rotating the wrists and the ankles. And then you might inhale to reach the arms past the ears. And when you're ready, you can draw the knees in towards the chest and roll over onto one side, coming into a fetal position. Allow yourself to cradle your head on your biceps. And then you can rest there for 2 rounds of breath. Whenever you're ready, you can press yourself up into a seat. I have a little tiny spider bug on me. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale to reach the arms up overhead. Exhale to draw the hands to heart center. Well, that's okay. It sounded like wind chimes. And then you can gently bow the head towards the heart. It's such an honor and a privilege to guide you through your practice this morning. Thank you so much for being here. Namaste.